APNAC, the African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption.
Member of Parliament, as far as public finances is concerned, is supposed to perform a function that we refer to as the power of purse. In other words, financial control. Parliament is the gatekeeper of public finances, and Parliament and parliamentarians will have to scrutinize the proposals that will come from government, in this case the executive, and assure themselves that the demand of the executive meets the development needs of the people. Then, when you have given the allocation to government, you then immediately thereafter begin to exercise the power of oversight. To what extent is the government, the executive, applying the allocation that's been given to it in respect of the request that they've made? Parliament's responsibility is to probe into this and assure themselves that the country has value for money. And if the country has been shortchanged, could we plow back the extra funding to other use? Perhaps the construction of schools. I wouldn't say the existing mechanism is working to perfection. It is working, but not to perfection. It's not working to perfection because, one, in many of the parliaments in Africa in particular, when they have done the allocation to various ministries, departments, and agencies, the parliamentarians and committees of parliament don't follow up to see that the work is progressing according to schedule. Many of these parliaments will rather wait until maybe something crops up, and then in plenary, the speaker may request some action to be taken, and then they rush to do that, which is not good enough. Committees of parliament should be proactive in the exercise of our oversight responsibilities. The power of purse, financial control is concerned, is that parliaments should be involved in the crafting of budgets. Another best practice is to ensure that we are able to develop the capacity of members of parliament. We attend so many conferences, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. We have the Inter-Parliamentary Union, RPU, which is the World Assembly of Parliaments. And we rub shoulders with colleagues and compatriots in other parliaments. We know what is good for us. Sometimes practicalizing it becomes difficult, but we are in the process. We are in the process of reconstituting committees to make the committees stronger. Yes and no. Yes, because we have unfettered access to these documents. But how to domesticate it is what we have not been very successful at. But we are working hard to the ultimate goal of sanitizing these matters. As I'm saying, generally speaking, the international treaties are good. They are good benchmarks for us. They provide pinnacles of aspiration that we must not relent. So the international standards set for us are good for us. They should be the ultimate for all of us to climb up strenuously to those levels to improve the lot of the people that we govern. The dividends of democracy should inure to the populace, because if we don't do that, our people will lose faith and trust in democracy. And if they lose faith and trust in democracy, the alternative could be disastrous for all of us. So we should aspire a proper benchmark to improve the lot of our people. For instance, we should be building strong institutions, including Parliament, because Parliament is the bastion of democracy. When we talk about democracy, the battle is not lost. We have a bright future if we hold together, if we bond together, if we band together, compare notes, and then resort to best practices in our respective countries and jurisdictions. And once we are able to break those barriers, the sky will be the limit of Africa. We have resources. Resources are being plundered.
Of the role of parliamentarians when it comes to public finances and budget oversight, and how, including that of Ghana, are doing well under the circumstances with the constraints that we have when it comes to our resources. We've been doing well. The process in Ghana starts with the fact that the executive presents the various budget statements to Parliament, which will be read, and following that, the Speaker will refer the various estimates to subject matter committees, which are looked at from the perspective of professionalism at the various committees, especially where committees will have to scrutinize the nitty-gritties and figures that have been presented to them from the MMDAs, that's ministry, department, and agencies working under various subject matter sectors. Having done that, the entire has to do with the fact that in Ghana, for instance, when budget statement policies are read and estimates given to the various committees in Parliament, it takes just a short period for us to look at it and approve them. This does not allow us as members of Parliament to scrutinize the process. Well, some of the best practices to be emulated by Parliament and parliamentarians, and which should instill practices, exchange programs. Yes, indeed, there are some best practices somewhere in other jurisdictions where I mentioned that you have budget office. Exchanges between parliamentarians, between one parliament and the other parliament, should be encouraged, where you will go and learn best practices. One of the best practices, apart from the fact that you have the budget office, is monitoring and evaluation, where subject matter committees are allowed to monitor and evaluate what their various MMDAs, that's ministry, department, and agencies, are doing. Not waiting till the end when Public Accounts Committee will come in and subject their reports, that's audit reports, into scrutiny. When it happens like that, to be able to monitor our various department agencies, I believe we will reduce the issue of corruption to the barest minimum. And so, yes, there should be exchange programs between best practices, communities, and that of countries that do not have all what it takes to be able to monitor their various MMDAs.